Shilo Sanders' make-or-break moment in Tampa Bay. Can he rewrite his NFL story? Introduction. A name that demands attention. The Sanders family name carries weight in the world of football. Deion "Primetime" Sanders cemented himself as one of the greatest defensive players in NFL history, a dual-sport legend who combined flair with dominance. His son Shedeur Sanders, meanwhile, has become one of the most talked-about young quarterbacks in the league, generating headlines with his poise, accuracy, and leadership in Cleveland. But in the shadows of that spotlight stands another Sanders, Shilo Sanders, a safety with heart, grit, and an unrelenting desire to carve out his own legacy. Unlike Shedeur, who entered the league as a high-profile draft pick, Shilo's path has been one defined by adversity. At 25 years old, he joined the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as an undrafted free agent, clinging to a dream that has consumed his life since childhood. The NFL, however, is unforgiving. For players fighting from the bottom of the depth chart, every snap is a test, every mistake magnified, every opportunity possibly the last. And in Tampa Bay's preseason clash with the Pittsburgh Steelers, Shilo found himself standing at that crossroads, one play away from redemption or regret. The high-stakes stage, Week 2 versus Steelers. When the Buccaneers squared off against the Steelers in Week 2 of the preseason, the stakes were higher than most fans realized. Tampa Bay's secondary had been hit with injuries, creating rare openings for players buried deep on the roster. For Shilo Sanders, this was the window he had been waiting for. The first half passed without his number being called. But in the third quarter, with the lights blazing and the scoreboard tight, his moment arrived. For most NFL veterans, preseason reps may feel routine. For Shilo, they were a lifeline, chances to prove to Todd and the Bucs staff that he belonged. Unfortunately, instead of making a highlight play that could shift momentum, Shilo stumbled. On one of his early snaps, he found himself in the right position but executed poorly. A missed tackle left the defense exposed, forcing cornerback Kindle Vildor to clean up the mistake. NFL insider J.C. Allen didn't sugarcoat it when he posted on X. Bad missed tackle by Shilo Sanders. Vildor there to clean it up. It was the kind of error that can instantly erase weeks of hard work. For a player trying to climb from the fourth-string safety spot, those miscues don't just bruise the ego, they threaten the dream itself. A night that slipped away. After that shaky sequence, Shilo never quite regained his confidence. He finished the night with 2 solo tackles but failed to produce anything that would grab headlines or force the coaching staff to rethink their roster math. Yes, the Buccaneers eked out a 17-14 victory over the Steelers, but individual performances matter more than wins in the preseason. For Shilo, the box score told a story of missed opportunity. Analysts quickly began to question his place in Tampa Bay's plans. The Pewter Report's latest roster projection listed 5 safeties making the cut: J.J. Roberts, Kayvon Merriweather, Christian Izien, Tyke Smith, and, of course, star Antoine Winfield Jr. noticeably absent, Shilo Sanders. For an undrafted rookie, that kind of omission feels like a death sentence. But football seasons are unpredictable, and in the NFL, circumstances can change in the blink of an eye. Injuries open a door. Ironically, the same element that gave Shilo his shot in Week 2, injuries, may still be the thing that keeps him alive in Tampa Bay. Not long after the game, Fox NFL insider Greg Auman delivered an update on X that shifted the conversation. With Bucs waiving Marcus Banks with an injury and putting J.J. Roberts on injured reserve, that's 2 less backup safeties competing with rookie Shilo Sanders for spots on the 53. Still competing with Merriweather, Wisdom for 4th safety spot. That revelation breathed new life into Shilo's chances. Suddenly, the battle wasn't as crowded. Suddenly, there was still hope. But hope only carries a player so far. For Shilo, it now comes down to one truth: produce in the final preseason game or prepare for the possibility of starting over elsewhere. Todd Bowles measured praise. It would be easy to assume that Shilo's Week 2 struggles completely soured the coaching staff. Yet, surprisingly, that isn't the full picture. Head coach Todd Bowles has spoken positively about Shilo in recent weeks, particularly after Tampa Bay's earlier preseason matchup against the Tennessee Titans. Shilo played tough, Bowles told reporters. I thought he went in and did a heck of a job. He had some good tackles inside, and he had pressure on the quarterback as well. He did some good coverage things. He did a good job when he was in there. This balanced feedback reveals something important. The staff sees potential, even if it's inconsistent. Bowles is a defensive-minded coach. If he's praising aspects of Shilo's play, it means the door isn't shut yet. Coaches value resilience, the ability to respond after failure, and the mental toughness to learn from mistakes. The long road to Tampa. To understand Shilo's current battle, one has to understand the journey that led him here. His career has been anything but linear. South Carolina, 2019. Shilo began his college career at South Carolina, playing sparingly but gaining valuable experience in the SEC. Jackson State, 2020 to 2022, when his father, Deion Sanders, took the head coaching job at Jackson State, Shilo transferred. There, he developed into a hard-hitting safety with a nose for the football, helping lead a defensive unit that fueled JSU's dominance in the SWAC. Colorado, 2023 to 2024. Following Coach Prime to Colorado, Shilo showcased his leadership in a revamped Buffaloes program. While overshadowed by stars like Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, he still provided important snaps in a defense that was often stretched thin. Despite his steady growth, the NFL draft came and went in 2025 without his name being called. For many, that could have been the end. For Shilo, it was just another chapter. Tampa Bay's offer as an undrafted free agent gave him the one thing he needed most: a chance. The pressure of a famous last name. Carrying the Sanders name is both a blessing and a curse. On one hand, it ensures recognition. On the other, it sets expectations impossibly high. Everywhere Shilo goes, comparisons to Deion and Shedeur follow. While Shedeur is praised as a potential franchise quarterback, Shilo has to claw for recognition as a rotational safety. That disparity adds pressure, but also motivation. In many ways, Shilo represents the quintessential underdog story within the Sanders dynasty. If Shedeur is the golden child and Deion the legend, Shilo is the fighter, the one forced to prove that his place in football isn't just a byproduct of his surname. The final preseason test. As the Buccaneers prepare for their final preseason game, the stakes couldn't be clearer. For most fans, it's just another warm-up before the regular season begins. For Shilo Sanders, it could determine whether he spends September in an NFL locker room or waiting by the phone for another opportunity. He has one game to flip the narrative. One game to show the aggression, awareness, and instinct that Bowles has praised in flashes. One game to turn critics into believers. If he delivers, he could sneak onto the 53-man roster as a depth piece, especially with Tampa Bay's injury issues. If he falters, the harsh reality is that his run with the Bucs might be over before it ever truly began. Conclusion: a career at the crossroads. The NFL is littered with stories of players who never got the chance to prove themselves, whose dreams ended not with failure, but with the cruel math of roster limits. Shilo Sanders stands at that very precipice. His Week 2 error against Pittsburgh was costly. It highlighted the razor-thin margin for undrafted players trying to survive in a league where talent is everywhere and patience is scarce. But football is about resilience as much as it is about talent. Shilo still has a sliver of hope. With injuries reshaping the safety room and one preseason game left, the story isn't finished yet. The question now is whether Shilo Sanders can seize the moment and show the Buccaneers, and the NFL, that his dream deserves to live on. For now, all eyes are on him. And in the world of football, that spotlight can either forge greatness or burn dreams to ash.